are rather vitally linked to the system that you're living in, that you're abiding in, continuing on. And in that sense, I think it's important to be a conscientious member of your economy and the society. That as the common refrain of environmentalists, and in some aspects I would consider myself an environmentalist, but probably in most people's view I wouldn't be as much of an environmentalist as I'm sure most of status quo would think I should be. That's another topic for another day, but I think it's important that the environs in which we produce what we need to subsist, to continue on in our pursuits, if we're not conscientiously trying to be a positive factor on many levels. And again, I see the need in some aspects in creating some degree of scarcity to, and in fact, especially with artists, and you can see it with engineers, and oftentimes we're producing innovations and things that superficially and in the short term can seem really, really trivial. I kind of think most things, of course I'm coming from a theistic viewpoint, a LDS viewpoint, I think most innovations that man comes up with have some use that will be manifest later on, even if, it's kind of like the old joke by Jerry Seinfeld where he talks about all these people dying from diseases, and one scientist says, but this spitting of seeds from a watermelon has got to stop. And Henson comes up with the seedless watermelon. But I really do think we need to seek to strike a balance in our environs, our economy in which we live, so that we ultimately aren't completely undermining the mammon, the commerce. Make unto yourself friends with the mammon of unrighteousness. We don't serve it, we don't make it our masters, but we don't undermine it to the point where it destabilizes. In LDS doctrine and LDS view, there's a kind of a communal utopian view that we believe that the early saints under Christ to some degree lived, and even to some degree in the early restored church when Joseph Smith was alive. And we hope to return to it at some point. I really loathe when people compare it to things like communism and socialism, because it's not that. One of the key areas in which it's different from that is every single individual member of it has a choice to join it or to not join it. And if you read Karl Marx, and I believe Karl Marx was quite honest and upfront with the requisites of socialism, as he said it, as it has to be set forth if it's only being implemented by man, is that it does require kind of a universal enforcement. You get the motto of the French Revolution and the fraternity, and means a little more than just brotherhood. It's kind of an enforced brotherhood, and I think that's one of the key areas where at least in our theology, our view of this communal order that we believe it will be set up is quite different from that of pretty much any other attempted communal order, because either the communal order that tries to set it up on its own will fail, because it's not man can't run a communal order on their own. It's just we just don't have the sophistication for that, or if we do have the capacity for it, it requires brute force. But anyway, I'm getting a bit too off on that. But I think a lot of this really gets into the need for, there's obviously need for entrepreneurship and some need to be set apart to specialize. We see that in the natural economy and what I would call a perfect economy of things in nature. There's a place for everything. Just about every environment, something is adapted to suit that environment to live and thrive, and life is really quite found everywhere, at least on this planet, and I believe it's found elsewhere. But anyway, to wrap things up, that's what I kind of wanted to say, was that on the one hand we need to seek diversity, we need to seek those niches, and not simply be replicating ourselves, and to some degree when there is diversity there will be conflict and an undermining of the system to some degree, but I believe that I don't think it's right for us to consciously undermine the whole system of the stability. We can certainly, and I would hope many of us would be involved in radically altering the system for the better, but I think the ultimate undermining entrepreneurship, I don't even know if that's what QiPeng is getting at, but I think it's interesting too that the title of it, of the book that he's pointing out, is Fatal Strategies, because I think if you do pursue capitalism or commerce or mammon or any pursuit of power, it obviously will lead to death, to a fatal strategy. But I think that's kind of what sets apart the whole making yourself friends with mammon of unrighteousness, but yet don't serve mammon, serve God. And so that's my 2 cents, and I hope somebody finds that both coherent and useful and informative, and whatever else you wish to get out of that. Hive Radical signing off.